Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Endless Celts Podcast. I hope you're all well who's watching and also going to catch up via audio and YouTube. I'm delighted to be joined by Willie and Ross. It feels like a long time since it's been us three on, but I'm looking forward to it. I have myself a Moosehead Canadian lager. Willie's on the Guinness, Ross is on the Guinness. How are you?
All good, mate. On the Guinness Paltrow. Looking forward to this. I've not been on for about 2 weeks.
The Guinness Paltrow. That's fucking brilliant.
What do you call Paltrow for? I'm missing something here, clearly. Is that the name of the drink?
No, the actress Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So bad. I'm about yourself, Willie.
Aye, good mate. Busy week, and I was looking forward to getting back on. Like you say, the sort of original Friday team. We've not been on for the 3 years for a while, so looking forward to lots of positivity tonight.
Of course. And you only get it with us on a Friday. Positively is what we talk about. I mean, for me, I do have to say one thing. I'm buzzing. I had my oldest at judo, and the improvements she's shown in the last 8 months has been fantastic. She had 3 mini matches tonight, won all 3 of them. The third opponent forfeited, and she was absolutely buzzing. And look, that's not taken away from anybody in her judo class. They all do a fantastic job, but just to see a wee smile on her face, winning a few matches was fantastic. So I'm absolutely chuffed about that, and we'll carry on. But look, before we get stuck into it, I just want to show you what's coming up. Again, made by our very own Willie there, as I said, on the Guinness Paltrow. I'll join in the banter. You know something really refreshing about that video you made, Willie? We actually played it in order instead of 2 weeks behind. But you can't, you can't really.
I was going to send you the Aberdeen one just in case you wanted to play that again instead.
We could go back to the start of the season, but it's all good. But that Rio Tata goal was fantastic. I know Roger said today he's out for another month, which is quite disappointing. He's a huge miss at the minute. Just in the comments, Monty's in. Straight away to you, Willie. Hold your prawns. It's going to be a prawn kind of night. 100%. Anthony Dunn is the OG Friday team. Stephen Murdoch, evening all. Monty, Sam Fran, he'll all happy Friday. Jed's in, evening Jed. Plunge McNugget, nobody asked Brendan about Lobba leaving. We're going to talk about that tonight, among other things. I've just seen that wee intro as well. And just a quick one, Willie. Monty wants to know, and we're all actually curious, is your driveway heated tonight?
No, I've got Lolo's on the way out, so they're obviously paying him off. So the money for that's kind of taken away from my funds. Hashtag Bob Shagger.
Monty is at me about my beard. Your beard looks out for the next month, mate. Look again. It's just on the face.
Good. It does look good.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. I know he's on here giving us grief every other fucking day, but sure, we love it.
Wonder what he's going to say about me.
But evening, Monty. Great to have you along, like everyone else in the comments. But Ross, I think as well. I mean, we may as well tie in what we've seen about the Rodgers press conference today. I don't know if you've seen snippets of it. Quote, I think Anthony put it in our group chat. Just basically what he said, and kind of ties in with our first topic here about the issues on and off the park at Celtic at the minute, the form. The boardroom stuff, which we'll obviously come on to tonight as well in terms of Mark Lowell and things like that. But do you think, like, hearing Rodgers today, it just sounded like to me he's totally fed up with the outside, and he calls it the outside noise, and the people may think he means supporters, but I think he's genuinely meaning the media, and the media up in Scotland are portraying this whole crisis mode at Celtic at the moment. And I mean, the reporter asked him, what do you think the narrative is? And I love the fact that he said, I don't care. Really, he wanted to say was, I don't give a fuck. I think that's the kind of language he probably wanted to use. But we know the title race is on, right? And look, yes, is it our own fault for dropping 5 points, as Roger said? 100% is. We give up the lead. But at the end of the day, it's a title race. We know the issues. And I think for me, it is time to back the team. And look, you all know where I stand on things, and I've said it multiple times in this podcast, and we've all had disagreements about it, but that's fine. But this moment on these last 13 or 14 games, it's important that everyone unites together and just gets behind Celtic and the management team in this one.
Absolutely, it is. I think I've been saying that for a number of weeks now. But I don't know. I feel like in the last 2 press conferences, I think it's the last 2 anyway, I feel like Rodgers, there's been a sort of sea change, if you like, in terms of the way he's talking, the narrative for the sort of media, and I mean, but it has to be said by our fans as well in some quarters. Guinness and prawns don't mix.
They fucking do.
Aye, but to me, the last 2 press conferences, I think obviously Rangers had the opportunity to draw level with us, and they've done that now. And I think Rodgers is changing the sort of narrative message, if you like, of what's coming out within, in terms of he's taking a sort of, I don't know if you want to call it a siege mentality, but it's like, we don't care what everybody else is saying now. We are basically, without saying it outright, we are focused on these next, 13, 14 games, and we are tunnel vision, and we're going for it, and we do not care what anybody says, even if it offends
the animals.
Even if it offends some quarters of the fan base who are still against Rodgers, this isn't what matters anymore. People's feelings about Rodgers do not count anymore. It's a title race. We have to win this league. And I believe, obviously, we still can. We have to improve. But I just feel like, as I say, he's sort of doing that sort of siege mentality now and blocking out all outside noise. And whatever gets said between now and the end of the season doesn't matter to them. They're just going to be heading for that league title. It's a sprint to the finish now.
Yeah, 100% is. And I think Plun's come in there as well, kind of gone off what Ross said there, really, about the Ibrox press lackeys are desperate for us to fail. And I love that you obviously remember the game. It was just the weekend. I'm talking like it was 2 years ago, but that was Franley's intro video. But yeah, you look at you look at the end of that match against St Mirren, and he came up to the panel at 5 play at the time. It was him, Goodwin, and Lenny, and it may not have been on purpose, but they just blanked out Emma Dodds and had their own wee chat. And we all know what the side of the fence she leans on. I think she does some of their TV work for her, and that's fair enough. That's her own prerogative. But you have to, from my point of view, and what Ross said there, the siege mentality thing, you have to kind of zone in on that now and get the team focused. And you can only, as Postecoglou said, you don't focus on what your neighbour's doing. Obviously paraphrasing a bit, but you know what I mean, that kind of saying he did at the start of his first season. Are you of the same thinking of just go for it and we'll have to win the league anyway, but we'll just have to run to the finish here?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought that all season, and to be fair to Brendan, I think he's always tried to do that, try and block it out. It's been difficult recently, especially with the fan base is sort of split on. I think they've always been split as soon as Brendan's came back in, and I don't think that's changed. So it has been difficult for him to kind of cancel that noise. But I was so pleased to see him saying that today, because I was of the thought, I've been of the, I'm a big Brendan Rodgers fan, and I've been of the thinking that what more can he do? Obviously, we need to be playing better football, but he's currently top of the league, and we could potentially have a double this year. And there's still people calling for his name to be sacked, which is crazy talk, in my opinion. And I wouldn't I was of the thinking that I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season he was just like, fuck this, I don't need this. So I was really pleased to see him saying you put that one away straight pretty quickly, Stephen. I was of the thinking That I was of that
keep
thinking,
going.
so I'm glad that he's came out and said that, because I think it's positive, and I want to hear more of him. And I think since he's come back this year, he's been pretty honest in most press conferences. I know people kind of say that one week he's saying he's saying one thing, and then the next week he's saying another. But I think it's refreshing that he's saying things like that press conference when he talks about, we're looking to bring guys on that I can coach and turn them into, quality players, but sometimes he thinks we need to branch out a bit, splash the cash and spend it. I think he's been honest a lot of the time that he's been in the press conferences, and I was just pleased to see a wee bit of fight for him. I'm saying, listen, and he's absolutely bang on with the media. I could talk on a full podcast about that, Jed. We'll do that.
That's interesting. Like, throw your 2 p.m. at that one, because it is what people are thinking. You did allude to the fact that even winning a double, people are still questioning whether he would remain a Celtic manager. So, what do you actually think about that one that Jed said there?
My opinion and what probably will happen is two different things. I think there's a lot of a fan base that are looking for an excuse to get him out of the club anyway. So that would obviously be there'd be pretty much a couple of nails in the coffin ready, and they're just waiting for the other two to be bashed in as well, to be honest with you. I think, again, looking back, I don't think that the calibre of manager out there, I don't think we'll get better than Brendan, and I just think he needs time to. We've seen what he could do in his first term in charge, and I think that he needs longer than. It doesn't matter because he's got to win the fucking league anyway. So
yes, positive.
I just think he needs a bit more time and a bit more. Yeah, obviously he needs backed in the transfer window. I can't remember what I was talking about now before Jed.
About his demeanour and what he was saying weekend about spending.
Yeah, and he's kind of showing a bit of fight. But he's bang on with the media. It's like I thought the quote was like, any team that wins 7 games and 1 draw out of 8, that is a great run of form, but up here it's not good enough. That's fucking madness. But I know what he's saying about that, but it's obviously preceding that and the drop points before then that everybody's up in arms about. But the form's good. The football might not be the prettiest at the moment, but the points are getting put on the board. I love to see the fight out of him, and I'm glad he kind of put 2 fingers up to the media the day and just said to them, I think he actually called them out and said, look, you guys, I know you want a story, you need to bring somebody down a peg or 2, and it's us at the moment. So I was really pleased to see that, and hopefully we see a lot more of it. And I mean, if I'm a Celtic player at this moment in time and I'm hearing that press conference, it makes me want to go to war for the man.
Yeah. And you are right to bring into what people were saying, though. Like, his demeanour was questioned multiple times, Willie. And I think over the last couple of weeks, we have seen that mentality shift, is where it's like it's us against them. It's basically, you close shop. The media are arseholes. We know the game you're trying to play. We've seen it with the Abada situation as well, Ross. And obviously, we'll come on to that latterly about Abada. But I mean, even in the comments, it's a strange one. Jed, his heart's set, and if he doesn't win the league, he should be gone. And again, multiple managers have failed that sword at Celtic in terms of not winning the league. Do apologise about the noise. It's just a nuclear bomb ready to take off. But
microwave there.
100%. Yeah.
It is Belfast.
But
what's in?
Actually, don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But you've totally fucked me there. But in terms of what Willie said, right? The demeanour shift in Brendan, what I want to see from now on, and Willie's right to say the football's not good, and I've heard you say this before as well, especially more coming towards the end of the season, now anyway, that you don't care about the kind of football we play as long as we win games. And I think, for me, Rodgers needs to keep this kind of attitude up and not 1 week slip back into the whole people question his demeanour side of things, being like, what's really good on with the man? And then the next week he's all guns blazing, calling people out. There has to be a consistency from him as well, in my opinion.
I don't really know what the question was there, to be honest with you. But
I'm saying, do you think Rodgers needs to keep that up as well? Because Willie said it could rub off on the players. He needs to keep that attitude up with the outside.
Aye. What he's that sort of change in mentality that we've spoke about. I think he needs to be consistent with that now. I absolutely agree with that. In terms of what you're talking about there,
you never put it in the microwave, you fucking fruit
I know. You spoke about there in terms of performance of the team and stuff like that, and how. No, I've heard a lot of people saying it doesn't matter about the performance at this stage of the season. It's about results. Absolutely, it is about results. It's always about results. But for me, I spoke about it to you in the group chat. It was, how do I put this? It was the performance for me. I'm trying to think how to word this here. The performance in the last few games, right, it has been nowhere near good enough, right, for me. I think I said it in the group chat that I can accept a poor performance if we get the result, but the performance at Easter Road and the performance, certainly when we lost the goal at both grounds, when it goes to 1-0, I think it went to 1-0 at Aberdeen and then it went to 1 each Easter Road, we totally lost all control of the game that we had. Albeit we didn't have great control of the games, but we totally lost it. We looked like we were going to concede at will, and I can't accept that type of performance. And you won't if you keep turning in the types of performance at this stage of the season. It'll catch up with you, and you won't get away with it. It happened at Aberdeen. It sort of caught up with us a wee bit because we'd had the Ross County performance before that, and we got away with it. But so, as much as the performance doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be free-flowing, unbelievable football that Ange was playing most of the time, as long as we get the result. But I won't accept, basically the arse falling out at when you go to 1-1 or 1-0 down and lose control of the game. We shouldn't be losing control of games and looking so fragile. Holy shit! So fragile as we did in the games.
We've swapped.
Again, so that as much as, again, as I say, as much as performance doesn't matter and it's more about results, we have to be controlled as we were in the St Mirren game. It wasn't a great performance, but we were more controlled and we weren't like last ditch desperate defending, if you like. That I can't accept against the level of team that we're up against most weeks.
Why do you think it's happening though? What's that down to? I mean, that's why I think people are questioning the style of play, the systems, the players involved in that. Monty, Fragile, yeah, we know what he meant, but I get it. Funny.
Well, I think that recently, I think in the recent performances is what the ones that I'm primarily talking about, because that's certainly the Aberdeen game and the Easter Road game is the two games this season that I think we've looked the most fragile. Now, by all accounts, the game at Rugby Park in the second half, we looked fragile in that. I can't say that word. I need to stop trying to say it. I never actually seen that game, but I think for the most part, why we look that way in the last couple of games at Easter Road and Pittodrie was because we're essentially playing with who was I think Alistair Johnson was involved at Pittodrie. Then he had to come off at Easter Road. We've got Liam Scales and Stephen Welsh and Bernaby. That for me is a big part because that is nowhere near our best back four. So listen, we can talk about recruitment and squad depth and all the rest of it. These guys
will he be away?
These guys have stepped in and got us through it. But there has been moments in games where we have looked fragile. But listen, we've had our fair share of injuries this season, and that cannot be ignored. And that is playing a big part in why we can't get any sort of a real bit of momentum built up. But Roger spoke about it today briefly, I think. He's talking about Carter Vickers will be coming back. Hatati's a month away. Alistair Johnson's he's on the training field, but he's obviously not ready to play because I think he's got a fracture. Greg Taylor's coming back. for me, these guys are all coming back probably at the business end of the season, which is good for us. And you just hope that all of the guys I've mentioned can stay fit and we can build up momentum. Because if we can, if we get a heady steam, we'll be hard to stop. We will be. I just think this Talkie Rodgers, Jed's saying there, if we don't win the league, he won't be there. Listen, I can't argue against that, because if you don't win the league at Celtic, then it's a failure. It's deemed a failure. But for me, there's a lot of mitigating factors as to why this team isn't functioning to the way Rodgers wants it to be and the way we want it to be. At no point did I think when Rodgers came in we would play the same free-flowing football that Ange Postecoglou did. It was never going to happen. No many managers play that style of football. But Rodgers, he's had his challenges, coupled with the fact, and listen, his style's no great at the minute, but the injuries, the not being backed by the board, it all culminates to what we're seeing now. But at the end of the day, with all those things against him, Rodgers has still got this team at the top of the league, albeit we've surrendered a 5-point lead, which isn't great. But, I mean, we've still got 14 games, 13, 14 games to rectify this. And as I say, we're getting players back. We've got a good win there under our belts at St Mirren, which could have been a real banana skin tie. We got the win. It wasn't pretty, but it's a start. And listen, I'm the same. I just want us just tunnel vision. Don't care. Don't look at Rangers and what they're doing, because as long as we keep winning, I was going to say then we'll still remain at the top of the league, but obviously that's not quite true, because it's going to come down to goals. But listen, Rangers are showing, you have to credit them, they're showing title winning form right now. They absolutely are, apart from their blot against us. But we've shown that in their games we have the better quality and we can beat them. All we have to do is get a run and a heady steam, and hopefully we'll be okay. But it's by far a foregone conclusion.
No, I do. I get the sentiment of what you're saying, and to be fair, I do agree with the majority of it, unlike us on a Friday, Ross. Wax comes in here, Willie, and he says, it's okay saying we're getting stronger players coming back, etc. But the problem is the cream buns are not dropping points, so you basically need to win all our remaining games to win the league, a situation we should not be in. And like what Ross said there, to be fair, yes, all these circumstances with injuries and things like that, we're still top of the league, but we can't ignore the fact that we dropped 5 points and we've had really dodgy performances within that period. So what would you say to Wax? And by the way, it's a new comment, so a new commenter, so appreciate you watching on. I haven't seen that comment before. But in terms of what he said, there's a situation we should not be in. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I don't know if I do, actually. I don't think that I think it's quite naive to say they're going to just win every game between now and the end of the season. I've watched a few. This is exactly what I was just about to say, Strange Love. I've watched. Obviously, I'm watching Celtic week in, week out, but I'm not watching them. I've actually watched a couple of games recently, and it's not as if they're playing sparkling champagne football either. They're getting results, but it's not like they're not blowing teams away or anything like that either. So I'm not. It's not something that I don't know. I think there's a bit of fear going about, and I don't understand it. We've been, I think, the two derby games that we've still got to go this season are going to be monumental now, because it is so tight, and we've had two this season, and we've won both with a squad that's not been anywhere near full strength.
You see that, did you?
So I think. So I think that if we beat them in two games where we've not been anywhere near full strength, I think going into these next two derby games, it's like a massive mental positive for us. Psychologically, we must be going into these games feeling like we can take all 3 points again. But I'm not at the moment in time, and I've not been shitting myself at all this season. Even now, I'm not. I feel like we're more capable of, like you said it yourself. I said it last week. We've been well under par, and we're still top of the league. Everybody's talking about how well Rangers are doing, and they're joint top with us, but we're well under par. If we kick on, imagine what we're going to do when we actually do kick on and we hit the ground running. I'm not too worried at the moment. I still think that we're more than capable, more than good enough, and I think if you picked a best 11 with both teams, there's not for me. There's not many Rangers players that get in that team, so we just need to keep grinding it, keep getting the results. Win the league, like you say, we're in a dogfight, we're in a title race now. It's actually fairly exciting. I said it to you the other day. The wee pencils are gone now because it's an exciting title race rather than us running away with it. It'll be even sweeter. It'll taste even sweeter when we win this one.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. And I do find it interesting, like you said, that the media spin there, we're under pressure, but Rangers are performing their optimum level, and every headline's a positive thing about Clementine coming in and doing this and doing that. It was the same thing with Michael Beale. Do you know what I mean? It was the exact same thing. He was the next messiah. He was a tactical genius, and he got found out in the end. And I think actually someone did a comparison of the first 16 games or something, and it might have been shared among us as well. Michael Beale's ahead of Clementine.
Yeah,
so
right.
you don't know what you're actually reading, and yeah, I'm saying Clementine because he's orange and blah blah blah. But you know, it's just a bit of fun. Lee's coming in, evening boys.
Well, that's the thing, though, mate. Everybody's talking about how good Rangers are now, but if they're that good and we're that poor, then how are they not strolling the league?
But I think it's the fact that
we're shite.
Aye.
Yeah, but I think outside of the media, I think it's the supporters thinking we've surrendered a 5-point lead. I think that's maybe why that spins.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's not as if it's 5 points. It's not 25 points. You know what I mean? It's like
See, before a ball was kicked, right? I think Celtic have drawn 4 games and lost 2 in the league this season, right? Now, maybe you could say 4 games. I might be wrong in that, but I'm sure it is 4 draws and 2 defeats. Now, at the start of the season, you could maybe argue 4 games is maybe a wee bit too many draws, but for me at the start of the season, if somebody told me, look, listen, I'm not saying we're going to go unbeaten for now at the end of the season, but if somebody told me that, say we lose 1 more game, right? If somebody told me we would go through the season and lose 3 games and win the league, I would go, that seems quite logical. That's probably good enough to win the league. 3 defeats. We're only in 2 now. We've got 13, 14 games left. I don't want to jinx it, but
do not say it.
No, I know. But you know what I'm getting at. If somebody told me at the start of the season we were going to lose 3 games and we'd win the league, I'd be like, that's actually decent. But it's like it's a disaster now because we had a 5-point lead. But you have to say that again. Rangers are showing title winning form. They weren't at the start of the season, and now they are. Celtic were showing it at the start of the season. They faded a wee bit, middle of the season there, and hopefully they're coming back into that bit of form. But at the end of the season, if we win the league by 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and we've only lost 3 games, I don't think that's that bad. All right, the performance level isn't amazing, but they've still done the job.
Aye, done the job. But what were you going to say?
I'd love to see how a start with how many games we've been able to play the same 11 consistently. I would be surprised if it was more than 2 or 3 this season. You talk about momentum and trying to get going. Like it's really difficult. I'm not trying to make excuses, but like everybody talks about how the window was shit and this and that and next thing. Ross is right. We've had a lot of stuff kind of thrown at us, and I'm not saying. I still think we should be winning this league. I still think we should be performing better this season. I'm no, but you can't ignore all that sort of stuff. Not one game. Is that you saying that 2 games and then that's it? We're not even getting a. And there's been different circumstances. It's either been there's obviously been the injuries, but there's also like at the start of the season, Rodgers midfield 3 when Hatate was out, he was fucking. It was a different player every. It was always O'Reilly, Cal McGregor, and then it was as if he just fucking drew names out of the hat. Went right, Turnbull, you're playing the day.
Brendan
Right.
Stewart.
Who's this? Bernardo. So I feel like, and I don't think it's a coincidence that now we've had this run of games, and yes, we've had poor performances, but we've got the results, and that's a title-winning side that do that when they're not playing at their best, they still grind out results. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we've been on this decent run of form. Yes, again, the performances haven't been great, but we're winning games. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's kind of starting to become a bit more of a consistent 11 that we've been playing.
No, I do agree with that as well. In terms of, I mean, to me, I'll be honest with you, that's an excuse to me. Right, that's what that is. It's making an excuse to validate the current stuff we're seeing. And look, I get that it adds a lot to it, but I think even our second and third string should be strong enough to put away teams in the SPFL, maybe bar Rangers. I do understand where you're coming from in that aspect of things. And if you look at the back four against St Mirren, it was Ralston, Scales, was it Naraki and Burnaby? Or Welsh, sorry. Scales, Welsh and Burnaby. Incredible that we're still pulling results off, to be fair, like, and getting clean sheets in among that. And Stephen John comes in and says, do you think some younger fans are entitled? Now, this is interesting, because I'll be honest with you, Stephen John, I think that the categorizing people among Celtic fans, bedwetters, happy clappers, entitled, I think is totally wrong. Everyone, in my opinion, is entitled to their opinion. It's obviously valid to themselves. People don't have to necessarily go along with it. I'm just looking from a point of view. Yes, I've been used to success, right? The first season I can probably remember would have been just before the Seville year. So yeah, Larson and Sutton and all were still there. I think I've seen Rangers maybe win 3 or 4 titles in among that period, maybe 5. But I just see this as Celtic's own doing. We should be so far ahead of the other team across the water. It's incredible, but whatever is going on at the top level, we've regressed. We've let things go. We let them win the league, albeit the COVID season, when we really shouldn't have done that. Obviously, a lot of pressure going for 10 in a row and things. We should be so far ahead. We should be doing so much better, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. I don't think I'm entitled, Willie or Ross, but I mean, if you agree with what Stephen John are saying, please chirp in. I mean, I'll start with yourself, Ross. Do you think some younger fans are entitled to success and expect trebles and invincible seasons?
I wouldn't say young fans are entitled. I agree with what you said there in terms of the fact that bedwetters.
Tony's right in 100%.
No, but in terms of what you're talking about bedwetters and happy clappers, not the rest of it. For me, it's not about the younger fans, because listen, I see some older fans who lived through the 90s and seen all the bad days. I've seen some of them fly off the handle like that and expect off the back of our 4 trebles and all the rest of it, that we should be winning the league every single year. I don't think it's just exclusively to the younger fan, but I wouldn't say they're entitled. I think it comes down more to maybe personality and just how you are. And some guys are a bit more, I don't know, a bit more level-headed, for wanting it just depends how you are. Well, he's nailed it. Some guys are a glass half full, some guys are half empty. It's just the way it is. I don't think it's exclusively to any age demographic or anything like that. I just think it's some Celtic fans are fucking off their nut and some aren't.
Strange of the doctor comes in. We are entitled because we're the best supporters, biggest club, best players in Scotland. That entitles you to expect success. Our nearest competitor is literally a fake Franken club. Look, again, that's where I'm coming across. And well, me and you've had heated discussions in the group chat, also on the podcast about the entitled reference and that type of thing. And by the way, Ross, I do agree with you in an aspect of things that Celtic supporters, maybe some of them, I don't know, definitely a minority, and what I've encountered, expect this, expect that, expect winning the Champions League, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm not like that. I just think at domestic level, we should be miles ahead. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be in the question for me that they should be near us. That's my overall riding opinion on that.
Right. Well, before you go to Willie, just to come back on that slightly, I get what you're saying, but for me, like you say, we should be miles ahead of them and stuff like that, right? Now, I get that our points total isn't as good as it.
I'm going to do the tally. I'm going to jot a tally down here.
Aye, but it hasn't been as good as what it was last year, right? But the season before, I don't think we got as many points as we accumulated last year. The season before that, we didn't win the league. Seasons before that, I don't think we got just as many points as what Ange got last season. You have to go back to Rodgers' first term to look at that many points again. So we don't consistently win the league by winning, even back to the Dial years, we don't consistently win the league where we pretty much go a full season almost unbeaten or unbeaten. So for me, they in terms of the league, right, we're not talking about, I'm not saying this in terms of breaking through that ceiling, but in terms of the league, that is the ceiling, right? Going unbeaten or getting 100 plus points, right? You can't really get much better than that. And if you to do that consistently every year is a really, really big ask, no matter who you're playing, because you don't turn up and win every single week. But for me, Celtic have hit that ceiling, and sometimes they just drop a wee bit below that. But Rangers, year on year, have grown and got better and better because they couldn't get any worse. They couldn't get any further behind us. So they
we should have got better. I think that's the.
But my point is that you can get to that 100 points total, but you will regress some years. You'll go up and down. But Rangers, they've been up and down as well. But this season, it just so happens that they're in the last wee while, it's now looking like they're having a really good league campaign, and Celtic aren't having. So it's sort of levelled out. I just think for me that there's a ceiling that you can get to in terms of a league campaign because it's a points total that you're getting to. Celtic have hit that ceiling a few times, and they've came away from that ceiling a few times. And right now, we're a wee bit away from that ceiling because you can't year on year hit that 100 points. You just can't. They're human beings. People make mistakes in recruitment. It's happened. And Rangers are doing that bit better. They've got a new manager in, they've got a bounce. And it's just sort of, this season, more than any other, has sort of levelled out a wee bit. But I just think that's just football. That's just the game. It's just life. Sometimes people catch up with you. I'm all right with it. Listen, I want Celtic to be better than they are being right now, but I just think people have to realise that as much as you think we should be miles ahead of them, the rest of the teams are not as good as Rangers, so they're going to beat most teams. And we haven't done that this season as much as we have, like say last season. It's just the way it is. You can't be absolutely brilliant 100 points every year. It just doesn't happen. I don't know if you get the point I'm trying to make there.
No, I do. By the way, I do appreciate we've gone on a bit of a tangent. And the comments are flying and obviously bringing up the entitled bit as well. But the way I would look at that is, Ross, right? And by the way, we are being positive, but we're just debating among other stuff here as well. You're saying again, people can catch up to you, and that's I mean, any walk of life that can happen. Yeah, it happens. But then does that mean Celtic have stood still as a club, have not took advantage of the fact that they're financially light years ahead of the other club, Rangers, I'm talking about here? Have we not done what we could to be the best version of ourselves? I think that's where the frustration comes from, in my opinion. And it's not about being entitled. And I think I'm not going to read out the name because I'm not falling into that trap. But Willie, from generation to generation, we pass on to our youngers and family that we are Glasgow Celtic. The way view of winning, the border of fault here for the divide, get them too. Obviously. So it's a powerful thing to say entitled, but then Ross has come to the game with a good argument that you can be caught, but does that not point to the fact that Celtic have stood still and regressed slightly as a club?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's a matter of standing still. I don't think they've gone into that transfer window and wanting it to be a failure. It's not as if they're not. I don't think it's not trying. Maybe that with regards to we had yet another fucking debate on the transfer window again the other day in the group chat. And it's like, I think we were touching on your Wednesday night part about like copying a model or whatever it was, and I don't think necessarily the model is what's wrong. The recruitment has been wrong. That last transfer window was not good enough. Maybe the recruitment team needs looked at. If anybody else, if we've got a star striker who's no scoring goals, his job gets looked at. So why should the head of recruitment, if he's not doing his job properly, nobody looked at, etc., etc. I don't necessarily think it's a model. I'm not entirely, and I'm no fucking defending the board again.
I know, we know,
we know. Fuck them all. I couldn't care. I'm not necessarily thinking that they're standing still or whatnot. They're obviously there's money there. I don't know who's in charge of what, so it's difficult to comment on that. But I think it's just too easy to point blame. I think when you talk about regression as well, you could have a team that's a successful team and somebody's players dip in and out of form. They could have a magic season and the next season no be as great. So does that mean it's a regression if it's the same team but players aren't performing? I don't think that's recruitment's fault, or you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've had injuries this season as well. I'm not going to keep banging on about that, but like I can understand why people think regression because that window has been bad, and I totally agree. But I don't think it's an intentional thing. Like we want a bad transfer window, and I can understand why certain players can get out of form and it can look worse. Some of these players could kick on and absolutely have unbelievable second half of the season. We could run away with it, and we're not having this conversation. Like Brendan said today, or whenever it was a press conference, the league titles played over 38 games, and it can be a fight. But I just feel like let's see what happens at the end of the 38 games. There's already talk. If he doesn't win the league, he's getting sacked. This and that. I don't understand why we need to talk about that stuff when we're nowhere near the league finishing. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
With regards to the entitlement thing, I think maybe entitlement's the wrong term, but I obviously hear it flung about a lot. We're a victim of our own success recently. We've been winning treble after treble, which is absolutely unfathomable to think about. Like 6-8 years ago, what we would have achieved, and we're definitely a victim of that now because there is an expectation, like people have said, and rightly so. But I do think there needs to be a sort of level head sometimes. Like Brendan says, we lose one game in 8 and it's like the end of the world. It still absolutely baffles me that there's such an uproar when there's like one result that doesn't go your way. There's no way we're going to win every single game for the next 4 or 5 years. It's just that's not football. It just doesn't happen. Sometimes they turn up and they're right up for it. Sometimes they're off the boil. Sometimes it's luck. It's just football. And just to go back, I understand why people would think we've stood still and regressed. I don't think it all goes back to this window and the fact that some players last year that were performing last year haven't performed this year, and the likes of people that were absolute stalwarts for us last year, like CCV and that, haven't been regular on the side for whatever reason. So I understand why people say we've regressed, but I think it's I think it's a tad unfair to say like we should have put whatever away and done all this, that, and the next thing. I don't think that's a matter of we have stood still. Personally, my opinion, I don't think we have. It's not worked out. There's plenty of signings that haven't worked out that window, but there was plenty of signings the year before and the year before that did work out. I think the model's right. It's just the recruitment's been wrong, and the recruitment team should be held liable for that. I don't think that's Brendan's fault. I don't even necessarily think that's the board's fault. It's the recruitment team, and if that means there needs to be an overhaul in that, then so be it. But for me, the model has shown it works. It just needs to be better. We need more Hatates and Kyogos and CCVs and Jotas, and less Ideguchis and McCarthy's and Abelgards.
The conversation, by the way, does always go back on the recruitment. I do agree with that aspect. But go ahead, Ross.
And this isn't me defending the recruitment by any stretch, by the way, right? Because it hasn't been good enough the last two windows. But Bayern Munich, right, signed Harry Kane in the summer. Have they regressed, or has Bayer Leverkusen got better?
That's a fair point.
Do you know what I mean?
Alistair just called me sensible. I've not been called sensible my whole fucking life.
I think Bayern. You probably could say Bayern Munich have slightly regressed, right? I don't know what their points total have been in previous seasons. You could argue they've slightly regressed, but Bayer Leverkusen have got better. Celtic have regressed a bit. Rangers have got better. It's just.
I don't.
They've got better in terms of results, picking up results.
Play.
I'm not saying they're playing.
Don't think it's. Aye.
I think they're a better side now than they were under Beale. Absolutely. I don't think that can be argued.
Oh, fuck me. Michael Beale couldn't have managed right in my bathroom. Never mind the football club. Do you know what I mean? He's shambles. Like, he's feeling his ass under it as well. Paul McCartan, he's captain sensible. But I get what you're saying. Like, the whole Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen thing, the major difference for me there is Bayer Leverkusen are on the playing field where they could probably pay the same transfer fees that what Bayern could. And Xavi Alonso is an absolute world-class coach in terms of what he's done. He's done that over the course of, 2 to 3 years now he's been there, I believe. So he's implemented that style of play, and he's stuck with that. And players who stick with him are going to learn that system better and better each year. And when you add bits of quality to that, it does get better. I do agree. So that's where I don't think it compares to what we're facing at this moment in time, because I think the case of this league title, whoever comes out on top is the club who was least shit over the course of the season, because none of the clubs have been excellent, and I do hope that changes. And I do agree with what Willie says as well. I mean, the aspect of things where we're talking so far in the future about Rodgers failing and stuff like that, I don't want that narrative conversation. And you know me, I've been called negative time and time again. 100%, I'll take it. But I feel like we do need to be positive, and we do need to be pushing forward as a club. And that's the crux of it for me. And the Leverkusen thing's interesting. I do get it's kind of put me in the back foot a bit. I'm not going to lie, because I'm trying to think of stuff in my head to say a wee bit. But I do think for me, Bayern are probably on the same level playing field as Bayern Munich in terms of fees and what they can maybe attract to the club. That's the only thing I can really point to that there.
Bayern have won that league for 12 years in a row or something like that. They're miles ahead of everybody in that
league.
Miles ahead of everybody in that league.
But they can't be caught.
But they're not caught yet. It's still a fucking long way to go. They could rump that league as well.
But they're 5 points behind. We aren't they?
Aye.
And Xabi Alonso has had three years, did you say there? To implement his style and all of that. Rodgers has not even had a year to implement his style. And
Anthony
Dunn for his head.
So by that argument, then you agree we shouldn't get rid of Brendan, even if we don't win the league this year. If we don't win the league this year, we're getting rid of Brendan Rodgers. I'm sorry.
I don't think we should, but it probably will happen.
Yeah. No, look, again. Go ahead, Willie.
I'm not so sure the board would.
Too much money, probably to sack him.
The fact, the Harris fencing will be getting fucked about again, they do it.
But look, we'll take away from that conversation. We can sit here for hours and debate about that. Dion came in earlier with a comment that I tried to bring it up, but the comments have been flying in about the Dublin, about the recruitment. In terms, we're going to come on to Mark Lowe on that, but Dion was asking about the situation that Rodgers talked about today with Leo Abada. It seems, I don't know, that maybe he's played his last ever game for Celtic. I think Rodgers kind of gave an inkling that he could be moving away for his own headspace. So, I mean, But where do you sit in this? Was it badly handled by Celtic in the January window? Because we know Rodgers had a chat with him and he said he was fine. He was coming back to play. He was ready to go on training. And then suddenly, since that happened, he's been back in the team. He got took out of it against St Mirren because his head wasn't in the right headspace. Rodgers confirmed today that that's kind of still the case. For me, anyway, if that was the issue in the January window, we should have, I don't know, loaned him out or cashed in what we could. And by the way, I don't get this reference. If someone could tell me the Dublin, is that the way I'm saying it? I just don't get it. Okay.
No, you said Dion. Did you know?
Oh, Jesus, fuck. Are you serious right now? Right, okay.
Under the hammer, for fuck's sake.
But, Ross, where do you sit on the Neil Abada thing? I've seen people get a bit, really harsh on him in terms of the situation he finds himself in. But you have to be human about it, and you have to respect that, again, he's different beliefs from the majority of people who probably take part in this podcast and watch as well. But is it just best for maybe cut ties with him and just let him go?
I don't know. In terms of, you'd mentioned there, obviously maybe we should have not got rid of him, but put him out in January, whether that be sold or loaned. I'm not sure, but I don't think Celtic could have foreseen that Leo Abada would come back into the team after the winter break and perform as he has, which is he hasn't performed well. And I think the fact that I'm not performing well hasn't helped the guy. And there's a section of the sport, I don't want to say I've turned on him. I don't think that's the right term, but I don't think it's made his sort of integration, if you like, back into the team after injury any easier. And I think his performance levels are showing that his head isn't right, because the Leo Abada we're seeing on the pitch right now is a million miles away from what he can be, and that isn't down to Rodgers' style. He's playing the same position. It's just he's just not in the right headspace. Rodgers alluded to it today that he's got family and stuff over there. That this must be taking its toll on him mentally. He probably wants to be out there and sort of supporting his family. But I mean, what can he do if he did go out there? He's not going to be any help. But it's a really tricky situation, and it's one that you're probably seeing far more. With a lot more modern day footballers than you would like to see in the modern day, because there's a lot of war going on in the world right now, and it's sad to see. And listen, family's more important than football. But if Leo Abada needs to move away for Celtic to help him mentally and help his career even, then by all means, if that's the best thing for him in the club, then do it. But if Leo Abada can get himself back to the player that we know he can be, then he'd be a great player for Celtic, and I would welcome him. I don't think it's the right word because he's already here. But I would, the arms would be open for him. I'd give him a big cuddle. I just want to give the guy a big cuddle. It's a shame for him. It's shite. But he just needs to get through this period, and what will be. If it's away for Celtic, then so be it. But if he's here, I'll support him 100%.
I mean, look, I don't want to be harsh here, but I need to play both sides, Willie. And I do get what Ross is saying in terms of we did welcome him with open arms in the game when he came back. The crowd, I think, was the biggest here apart from the goals that day, and he should have felt welcome. But I do understand the human aspect of things and the certain situation going on with it in the country and all that, which we really can't get into because it's not our place as a podcast too, but we all know what we're references to. But then you look at it and say, Willie, as well, he's a professional footballer, paid X amount of thousands a week, and it's been no secret from ever since I can really remember watching Celtic that we've had affiliations, or like the thought we've had affiliations with certain countries in the world, certain flags in the world. I mean, there's been Champions League games, Hapoel Beersheva, for example, where basically the whole Green Brigade had Palestine flags flying. So it's no secret that that Celtic have done this. So yes, it's tough for him, but as a professional, should he not be able to put that to one side and carry out his duty as a footballer for a club where he's been paid X amount of money each week?
Yeah, I get that. I get both sides. Yeah, it's a shit situation for all. I obviously not to the extent he's got, but most people have got shit going on in their lives, and you still turn up and do your job. So I do get that. With regards to what you're talking about in January, could we should we look at this sort of getting rid of him? Then I don't think you could have foresaw. And by the way, he could come back in 2 weeks' time and absolutely hit the ground running again as well. I think again, although Brendan said today about there's a possibility he could leave and all the rest of it. It's a strange one for me. I don't really know what I think about it, to be honest with you. I think when it comes to football, you know me, I fucking hate politics and all that. When it comes to football, he's a top player and a top prospect. So I would hope that whatever's going on could be sorted and we still keep him at the football club. But yeah, it's such a strange situation. Nobody could have foreseen that what's going to happen or what's yet to happen. I can understand maybe from his point of view if there's people flying certain flags, it's going to upset him. And like you say about opinions and all the rest of it on here, Stephen, you've got to respect that. And I think that you've said it yourself. You've seen some horrible stuff come out of our fan base with regards to it, and that's not respecting his beliefs and his opinion, which I don't think's right. I think one of the biggest things that's wrong with this modern world, and I think social media is a massive thing for it, is everybody's got a voice, and some people aren't allowed an opinion. It's just you're wrong and that's it, whereas that's not the case. We've all got different beliefs. We've all got different backgrounds. I think it's unfair to, judge somebody because of that, and we don't even know what the situation is. But it's difficult. It's a shit situation. Hopefully, yeah, Stephen Ruddick, you're right. Hopefully he can come through it because he is a top talent, and like I said it when he was coming back. And by the way, we say when he's coming back, you wouldn't have foreseen his form, but when he first came back into the side, I remember us sitting talking on a podcast about the sort of telepathy between him and Kyogo when he first came back in, and he was hitting balls into that box for Kyogo to score goals. I know the first one was Bucky Thistle, but I think he did the same again the next week. And we were talking about how that partnership could be back again, and nobody's been seeing these Kyogo runs, and he has. So I don't think the form's just been horrendous the whole time he's been back. Yet again, dipping him in and out of the team, I don't think helps either. I think it's difficult to show when you're only getting half an hour a game. Exactly, Paul.
Right.
That's the big. I don't need to say anymore. Paul McFarlane's nailed it.
Yeah. Again, I don't understand that 100%. I don't know if you heard, Ross, what I was saying to Willie before he went off and got a wee pint there, but what you are saying, by the way, by and large, I do agree with. I want to make that clear. But I do, again, have to say both things here. Like, I mean, it's well known that Celtic fly these flags, the tricolours, they fly the Palestine flag and whatever. And into the club, he played while the Green Brigade were proudly flying Palestine flags in that corner in the stand. And then when that got introduced and he came into the club and things, he was performing well, he was scoring goals. It wasn't an issue then. Obviously, the conflict is kicked off, which I can understand that maybe that's playing in his mind. But people can say as well, as a footballer, you're going to go to a club, regardless of where it is in the world, you might not agree with something. So every time you don't agree with something, do you have to say, I'm not happy, or I'm not going to celebrate with the players, I'm going to walk down the tunnel, I'm going to do this and do that. Like, I'm not saying that's his attitude. Maybe he's been told to do that for his own sake. But you can't keep doing that, because you're going to come across another club who might have the same kind of beliefs as some people do, and the atrocities that we're seeing and blah, blah, blah. Now, again, not blah, blah, blah in a disrespectful way. We just can't go into it as a podcast because, certain things we don't want to talk about on this, but we do know what's going on. But do you understand that argument?
I understand where you're coming from, absolutely. But I think, obviously, since the conflict is obviously kicked off again, you spoke about, obviously, he was playing while Celtic fans were displaying the Palestine flag, and that's all well and good. But I think between then And now, I think that, as you say, the conflict's kicked off. I think there's a lot of outside, I don't know, like voices in his ear for the international manager. I think there was another guy who'd come out and said that, and they're saying that he should leave Celtic.
Yep.
Whether Abada feels that or not is another thing, but there's a lot of sort of voices in his ear, and then you look at it and you go, people for his country are probably looking upon Celtic and the Celtic fans and not in a good light because they're displaying Palestine flags. They won't agree with that. Is Abada going to attach himself to, all right, he's playing for the club, but does he want to put himself in that situation where he's celebrating in front of guys that are displaying Palestine flags and opening himself up to criticism? I mean, I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that he's been told if he goes back to his country, he'll be shot. He said text messages every 10 seconds on his phone with threats and, like, obviously pressure to leave Celtic and all the rest of it. You don't know the full ins and outs of it, but I think I understand your argument that you still have to turn up for work and do it. And absolutely, Abada, his performances have to get better on the pitch. But if your head's not right, it's very difficult for you to perform at your optimum levels. But again, maybe he needs time to get his head right. And listen, take all the time you need, Abada. If you want to still play for Celtic and you want to perform to your optimum levels, but you're not ready to do that right now, 100% take all the time you need. But there's a lot more to this than meets the eye, is what I would say. And for me to give a fair and balanced opinion on it is difficult. But for the outside looking in, that's just sort of how I see it.
I think you hate it for some people. Forget as well. He's still a boy. He's only like 19. See, when I was 19, I was a fucking absolute Fruit Loop. I would have been, if I had disagreed with fans, I'd have been jumping in amongst them and square going people and fucking. I wouldn't, idiot.
You still do. You done it to me last time I was over.
Now that I'm a grown ass man, I would just ignore that sort of stuff. It wouldn't bother me. But when I was a 19-year-old boy, I'd fucking probably have an absolute breakdown because I'm just a laddie. I've not even experienced life yet. I think sometimes you forget he's still a young laddie. He's in a different country. He's probably only got I don't even know if he's got a girlfriend. He's not got much here. So I think people forget about that side. But at the same time, Stephen, I totally hear what you're saying, and I do agree in a sense. Like, I know it's like it's on a crazier, bigger scale, but yeah, you've still got to turn up and do your job.
What do you think about that? You were going to say something. And by the way, Willie, I do agree with what you're saying. I'm only coming to saying that was a devil advocate type thing, different sides because I've heard the different arguments. But I'm leaning towards what you and Ross are saying in this aspect of things, and Paul McFarlane as well. Well said, Willie. But Ross, you were going to say something about the James McLean situation. What do you think about the comparisons?
Well, listen, I get what the guy's saying. He turned up, he was berated and all the rest of it. But the difference is that James McLean, his family wasn't in the middle of an ongoing conflict. His immediate family, who he knows right now, that was a past thing. And listen, it was a thing that happened. I'm not minimising it, if you like, for wanting a better word. I don't know if that. I'm not trying to belittle it. That's the word. What his family went through and stuff like that. But this is an ongoing conflict. I think that's the difference. I don't think it's comparable because it's happening right now. Whereas the James McLean stuff, albeit he had to go on with abuse and stuff like that, it isn't happening here and now in the middle of his career.
I do get that, but again, I have to counter that and say, look, I'm from Ireland, and I think people would say that while a presence remains such as the UK in Ireland and Irish politics, that it's always kind of in a conflict, and we're never going to be free from British ruling on terms of that. But look, it's not a politics podcast.
Sorry, just to jump in there, I would like to but nobody's arguing against that. Nobody's saying James McLean deserves to go through that as well. Like it's the exact same situation. I'd be saying the exact same thing about James McLean, and I don't think it's fair to just go, well, James McLean had to go through it, so he should go. Like neither of them should have to go through it. Like the people on planet Earth are fucking. There's some scum out there, and it's horrible place to live in. Nobody should have to go through that. But I don't think it's fair to say, like, well, somebody went through that, so he should go through it as well. It's different situations, and it's just it's the world's a shit. They should actually just drop a fucking nuclear bomb in the place and start again, because human beings are actually the worst.
I'm a good cunt.
We're all right. We're all right. I mean, everyone in the comments in this podcast, we're all right. We're a good bunch of people. Like, no, that's we're having the drink.
Put all yours in a bunker and then just nuke it.
Well, I'm no procreating with Stephen. I tell you that for fuck off.
Wow! What the fuck's going on here? Like what? Procreating. Paul McFarlane, loving the panel tonight, and we're having a good time as well. Michael comes in. Look, I don't know if you're on a bit of crack. That's fair enough. It's just a bit of crack. I do get that. Dead Thomas, Willie, bang on. No one should go through it. So yeah, again, look, we understand where certain situations are sitting at, but look, we're moving on from that one, Willie, because again, it's so. I mean, it's so divisive, and we could be sitting here debating that forever. But Gordon Strachan has raised his head again, and by the way, after everyone found out his son managed a golf shop and is our head European scout, incredible seeing a turn of events, like, isn't it? It's mental. But he came out and said that no one will remember this title race of Celtic going to win the league, and the last title race I can probably remember was under his stewardship. I think would have been the Jan Vinegar Heslink one. Am I missing another one in between that?
I don't think so.
Well, the last races I can remember were under his kind of leadership as manager. But do you get what he's saying? Do you agree with it, or do you think the club are putting the sound bites out that this should be accepted and this should be the norm and we should be happy if we win the league? But we've seen Neil Lennon defend the club on various different platforms over the last couple of weeks. Strachan's done it recently. Is this the club getting the ducks in row here just to put the support in line, or do you think it's true? If we win the league this season, we'll be forgot about and we'll move on?
That for me?
Yeah, Willie. Yeah.
I totally agree. I said it last week. I said if we win a double this time next year, nobody will even be talking about the form or the football we played. Played some of the best football I've seen under Tommy Burns, and didn't win the league. Nobody fucking. Like we say we played great football, but we didn't win the league. Yeah, we've played poor in seasons and still won the league. I just, winning it is all that matters. To be honest with you, I totally get what Gordon Strachan's saying. There's been a bit of an uproar this year. Personally, I think that it's a bit over the top because of our standing at the moment. So but if we win the league, he's totally right. Nobody will be talking about this. Nobody will be talking. Well, you won the league, but Brendan Rodgers played shit football. Nobody will be talking
James
about that. And I think that's what we need to do now. We need to improve, win this league. And I think this summer there's going to be a massive turnover in the playing squad. I think there's going to be a lot of outgoings and there's going to be a lot of incomings. And then we go again and we give Europe another go and we do it all again. And hopefully there's an improvement in the playing style. But yeah, winning the league's all that matters. So.
Any more he'll cancel your dancing lessons. But at the end of the day, look,
chat joke.
Title races, I mean, to be fair to what you're saying, well, they can be memorable if it goes our way. Obviously, we win the league, which we all hope that we do, and we all believe we can, Ross. And Gordon Strachan's coming out, and I find it interesting that Lenny's come out and done it as well. For me, it does seem like sometimes a club do this as a PR stunt to get certain ex-members of the club or people who are still involved to say this and that and kind of break it down and be like, this is actually a good thing if we manage this title race into a league win. But then again, you could say we shouldn't be in the title race because we talked about it at the start of the podcast. We dropped that lead, the 5-point lead, and then the fans are going at each other. There's the divide among the support. So I don't see where it helps, but I do agree in the aspect of things that if we win the league, it's a major relief. I wouldn't say it'll be forgot about. I think it'll be a relief if we win the league and we'd be like, fuck, that season was mental. So where do you stand on the Gordon Strachan kind of comments and even what Willie said as well?
I agree with Gordon Strachan in the sense that at the end of the day, the record books will show that basically what he's saying is the record books will show that Celtic won the league that year. Listen, in the summer, people will probably still say the football wasn't great, there needs to be improvement, because that's what we as fans do. But in 5 or 10 years, it'll be in the record books that we won that league title. You spoke about the 2008 Jan Vennegoor Hesselink.
Yeah.
We don't remember the football that we played that season. Like, maybe Anthony does, Anthony Dunn, but apart from that, nobody else really remembers. But it's
he remembers what jumper he was wearing to each game.
Oh, fucking no, man. He's got photographic memory, laddie. But at the end of the day, it's the league title that matters. Everybody will agree with that. But in the summer, what I will disagree with Gordon Strachan is people will still talk about how the football wasn't good enough and how there needs to be an improvement. And you just hope that the board will align. You hope that the board will align with what Rodgers wants to do. And we're probably going to go on to it at about 12:30 tonight, but hopefully, is it Mark Law? Hopefully he will be out the door. He's not had a good time yet. If he's out the door and we get somebody in that's people talk about. I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but people talk about.
While you do that, I need to go to the toilet. Not being rude, I just need to go to the toilet.
Right. Well, people talk about how. What is it again? I hope it's not lasagna. You'll faint. I can't even mind what the fuck I was saying there. I can't.
That's my fault, to be fair. I started thinking about pinging the microwave.
Aye. What were we talking about?
You're talking about Law will be out. And then...
Aye. Well, that's what I was going to say. So, the people talk about, like, Celtic need to have the best available sort of guy in that, in these jobs, in the recruitment, Mark Law, and obviously all the other guys that are in whatever positions. I can't remember right now, but I look at it and I go, who are these guys then? Man United are trying to poach Newcastle director of football right now. Chelsea, I think, are trying to poach Brighton's one. So these big teams, there's nobody out there that they see is better than who are already at teams, so they're trying to poach them. So I look at it in the same way. It's going to be difficult for Celtic to get that top level, the same as it is with the players, because if they're that good, the opportunity, they'll have other opportunities other than Celtic to be that head of recruitment, that director of football, or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. Listen, Mark Law probably does need to go, and hopefully we get some. Listen, I honestly, I don't know if he's getting past it or no. Is Stephen muted or what?
No, I think he did a ghosty though. He was back in a fucking heartbeat.
I know,
you can't hear you, Stephen.
He is muted. Listen, I don't know. We always say, well, we shouldn't go back or whatever, but I think John Park done a brilliant job for us. And in Neil Lennon's first term, he helped Celtic bring in some really, really good football players. I would love to see him back at the club. Whether he can do the same job again, I don't know, but he done a fantastic job in that role for Celtic.
He also done a horrible job for Rangers as well in that role.
See, just to go back
Agent,
and that what
Buck.
you were saying about what you were saying about the Strachan and talking about the football. See that 10 season. See if we played this football when we were fucking garbage but won it. I don't think anybody would have given a flying fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I think Celtic idiots off my thinking. Go get the Brentford head scout full scale Moneyball. And while we're on the discussion, look, we're just gonna talk about Mark Lowell, right? And Willie, Ross, I heard a wee bit of what you said, and if I go over it again, I apologise, but we need to so I can understand what you were saying. But Mark Lowell, the rumours are if we believe them or not, he's working his notice and is going to leave in the summer apparently, which I don't think makes any sense. If you're going to get a new recruitment team in, then surely you bring them in now and you get rid of his transfer target. So I don't know. Look, it's 50-50. Hasn't been confirmed by the club. But if he does leave, you spoke about following models in terms of maybe we can't do Ajax or Benfica or Brentford or Brighton, which is fair enough. But would this not be the opportunity? If Rodgers is leading it, I'm expecting him to make fundamental changes within the recruitment team. You're talking about maybe a director of football, head of recruitment, technical directors, all these type of things. I'm expecting that to come. I hope it comes because then again, Celtic are setting up for change. Where do you see it? Do you think it's just removing Mark, keeping the rest of the scouts in position and just putting a new head in? Because I don't think that would even work either.
No, I mean, for me, for example, if the manager doesn't... How many windows has Mark Lowell had now?
Four,
I think.
Four. They've not been very successful windows. If the manager didn't have a successful tenure, he'd be out in his arse. So I don't see why, the sort of recruitment team should sort of get that by. For me, it's fairly simple. If the board believe Brendan's going to be the man to lead us for the foreseeable, and he's obviously been interviewed and he's got a vision for the club. What we should be doing is interviewing for a new, what you say, director of football, head of recruitment, whatever, scouts, all the rest of it. And when these guys are interviewing, if their view for the future sort of aligns, the stars align with Brendan, then it's a perfect match. There needs to be a model or a focus or something that we're all moving towards. I watched something recently. I think it was Overlap actually, and Gary Neville was talking about how Guardiola at Man City, he doesn't I don't think he picks and chooses his transfers, but he's got a list, and it's like it needs to be under a certain age. They need to have these qualities. They need to do this, that, the next thing. And then what the recruitment team do is go and find a stack of players that fill that quota, and then they and Pep together kind of discuss these things and pick and choose from there. And everything's aligned. Everybody knows, and I think everybody knows at Man City Pep is head honcho. So I think for me that needs to be what direction we go in. To be fair, but if we're going to sack Brendan in 6 months' time, then that fucking goes right out the window again. So, but yeah, I think there needs to. I do think there needs to be change there because, like I said to you, I don't think we talked about we need to follow certain models and we have to follow Brighton's model and all that. And I think some of the comparisons are unfair because, like I said to you the other day, like for Brighton is a perfect example. They're just playing Football Manager. They're finding the best wonder kids for Brazil, and everybody, all these players want to play in the English Premier League. They don't want to play in our league. So for Brighton to go out and they can fire 90 grand a week at a 17-year-old straight away, no bother in their budget. Go, right, come on. We can't compete with that. I do think the model, like I said earlier, I think Celtic's model does work. I think we've proved that. I don't think it's just recent. I think that can go back as far as Van Dijk's and Wanyamas and all the rest of them. It does work, but at the moment, there's more misses than there are hits. And there are going to be misses. I talked about Man City. They're an absolute machine. But they've signed Calvin Phillips and he's been a flop. So it happens at every club. Not every signing is going to be bang on, but there needs to be more hits than misses. Yeah. And unfortunately, right now, there's a lot more misses than there has been hits.
Yeah, I totally agree with that aspect. If we come to the comments, just quickly here, Pat Sanders, welcome back, Pat. Ask yourself why Don Mackay left. He had ambition, and the rest, including Desmond, do not. They only use Celtic for money. Let's see here. Michael McDonald, Ross. Look, we ain't changing until the fans make a move like the 90s. Get used to this monotony. We'll win, but not in the way we want. So, yes, I think we can all maybe agree on the fact we're not going to change the board overnight. But the recruitment team, like Willie said there, and he made a great example. If you're working towards the same goal, if Brendan hands you a list of positions he wants strengthened, gives you the quota, the attributes that he's looking for, they draw them up, they bring them to him, he makes the final decision. That should work hand in hand. But what we've seen since Rodgers has come in is a disconnect, in my opinion, between the recruitment team and Brendan. Yes, he came in and said it's improved, but then he's asking for quality, and that looks like Mark Lawwell is going to be putting on his shoes and moving out the door to Celtic. And if rumours again are to be believed, it was Peter who actually put the pressure on him to leave. So, we don't know that aspect of things and how he left the club or the side of that. But would you do a complete overhaul of the recruitment team? Would you get rid of the scouts we have in place at the minute and just start fresh, start a new kind of model, but not with the board, but just start a new model within the recruitment and see where that takes us?
I can't sit here and say I would get rid of every single scout because I don't know every single scout. There could be some guys in there doing a really good job. But if the team as a whole isn't working as a unit, like even the team in the park, then it's not going to work. But if there's some guys doing the job and the guys that they would bring in are going to complement that, or they're going to complement the guys who are going to be above them, then keep the guys in a job. But for me, right now, the last 4 windows, certainly the last 2, it hasn't been great. It doesn't make for good reading when you see everybody that's came in and what the sort of impact they've made in the team. So there needs to be change of some sort, whether it's a full overhaul or only Mark Law or 2 or 3 guys. That's not for me to decide or comment on because I really haven't got a fucking Scooby about it, to be honest with you. But
can I throw something at you as well, just while you're talking? I don't want to take you off course, but it kind of you're tying it in anyway. Pegleg Lonergan comes in. Welcome along, Pegleg. Jesus, I'm sick of hearing they don't want to come to Scotland. Pish, it's lazy analysis. Why did Virgil van Dijk, Dembele, and Edward come here?
Because they were fucking projects.
But I think that's what he's meaning. Why can we not find
they had
similar people?
They had. Well, that's the problem. Nobody. The level 6, 7, 8 million pound players are the argument that people are saying they don't want to come. But Van Dijk cost Celtic about 2 million. Dembele was 500,000. Who was the other name?
Edward.
He came in on loan at first, and he done well, and we paid a big fee for him. He's the only one of the names mentioned. They weren't proven. They weren't proven established Champions League quality. So they're really poor examples, to be perfectly honest with you.
I'd agree with that.
What were you saying anyway about the recruitment team?
Dembele was playing for Fulham, was he not?
Well, he was a sort of revered young player, and he was sought after. Tottenham tried to get him, but they weren't willing. I don't think they were willing to pay. Aye, with hindsight, they're players at high level, but when they came in, Van Dijk came in and he made his debut against Shakhtar Karagandhi, and he was an absolute bomb scare. He was totally garbage that night in the away game. We lost 2 or 3-0. Everybody was like, "Who's this guy? Absolute garbage." Now he's a baller. You can say that with hindsight. You can't sit there and tell me when he came in, you were like, got a player there, like, he's a top quality defender. You just can't.
Never heard of him before he came in.
I love this. I absolutely love this. And I'll throw this one to you, Willie. I think it's good crack we get into this here, right? So it's actually the all of us. We may as well go around the table. It's Friday night. We're all having a wee drink. Stephen, Willie, and Ross. Are you happy with the status quo and content with not progressing in Europe? I'll start with yourself, Willie.
I don't really understand. Obviously, I'm not content that we're not progressing in Europe, but with regards to Champions League, we've never been like a massive force. That's not me saying that we shouldn't be doing more than we are now. Podcast in the Yeti. Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't just be like standing still, for lack of a better term, and not try. Like, I don't think we're not trying to progress. But in my opinion, we've never been a successful team in the Champions League. We've only qualified at group stages a handful of times. And people can say all they want about a lazy argument and all the rest of it, but with regards to the Champions League and money and elite teams, we're a small fish in a massive pond, whether we like it or not. I think the last few years have been a massive disappointment. Andy's year was as big a disappointment as I can have, because I felt we performed well enough to gather more points than we did, and we didn't. And what's more of a disappointment was I was looking forward to the next again season, him getting another window under his belt and going again. That didn't turn out to be the case. And then, I mean, we've had a bit of that's not me, is it? That's it, Wally Stroker.
I think it is, yeah.
King Wally.
Aye, King Wally Stroker, aye.
I'm not doing this again tonight, man. You go into something else. I'm not getting in a fight about us not spending money again. It's every fucking.
I don't think there's necessarily. I think it's just people asking, like in terms of.
Like I said earlier, I think that there needs to be more hits than misses, and like I say, if we got more Kyogos and Hatatis and all the rest of it, then I think we would be more successful. But it's just it hasn't been good enough the last couple of seasons, unfortunately, and. I thought we were getting somewhere, and we were playing Magic Football under Ange, and it looked like we were in. I couldn't foresee Ange leaving. Now, in hindsight, I feel stupid, because in his whole career, all he's done is spent a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and moved on. I thought he was going to be here for the long run and build something, and I think that's difficult as well. And I'm not defending it, but I think it's difficult when you've got a new manager who comes in, doesn't like what he has. Total overhauls our squad, tries to implement a new style, and then a couple of years later he's at the door and we're doing the same again. It's not an excuse, but this season there could have been Ange with his team at the helm and pushing on, but it's turned out to be he's moved on. Somebody's came in and tried to rebuild or sort of like, change his style, and I just. Again, this season, I think we were fairly unlucky. But yeah, I agree. It's not been good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. I want us to be competing more, and I feel like we can. I feel like even now we've got the squad to compete. For what I've seen, we should be competing. Just on certain nights, we've been nowhere near good enough. But I just don't buy this whole bring back the glory days when. In the Champions League, obviously we've taken some massive scalps, and Celtic Park was a fortress and all the rest of it, and it's not quite the same as that. But we've not since the 60s, 70s. We're not been. It's not as if we're like massive team in Europe in the Champions League. And yeah, I don't want to get in the debate again, but English Premier League teams are buying fucking 17, 18-year-olds for 50 million, and we're expected to compete. We're just expected to compete that because we're Glasgow Celtic. And unfortunately, it's just not the case now. We're a small fish in a big pond, like I said. That's not to say we can't do anything in it, because we can. You can see it this year. Obviously, they're not getting in that debate either. Copenhagen have done it this year, and they're nowhere near. They're nowhere near the ability of the elite teams. And the odd year, you do get teams that can do that, and I feel like we can do that. But I think it's unfair to say we should be challenging these elite. And when I say the elite teams, I'm talking the Man Cities, Liverpool's, and that. Like, they're another level above, unfortunately.
Yeah, and again, I do understand where you're coming from. I don't think anyone's saying you're defending the board or anything like that. I do understand them points, and they're valid.
Does.
Really. Well, Monty does, but I mean, strange stuff. The doctor comes in, Ross, just to kind of round it up the recruitment. You could spend $8 million on a player and get a lazy, hyped grifter, or is that whatever, or a hungry, enthusiastic super. Aye, Drifter, superstar in the making. It's all about scouting and research, and I think that comes down to what Willie was saying as well. You improve that department, then you're going to get more hits than misses than we have the previous two windows.
Aye, it all comes down to the recruitment team, and right now, Brendan Rodgers looks silly coming in and saying that the recruitment was brilliant and so much better than what it was when he was here last. When actually, over the last two windows that he's been involved in, it looks worse, probably. Well, certainly as bad anyway. But I think it boils down to the recruitment team. That has to be right first and foremost. They bring the players to whoever, and then they have a pool of players that they pick for. Like Willie, we were speaking about earlier there. That's the first point of reference, is them going out and looking. And if that's not right, then you're pissing into the wind, really, for the kick-off. So that needs to be right. And what is it?
I just think that's quality. You're pissing into the wind for kick-off.
Aye, yeah, basically. Listen, we've spoke about it. There needs to be changes there. How many changes or who that is, I don't know. But something needs to change to make us better in that department. And if we are better in that department, then it's a sort of snowball effect where you've got maybe a better pool of players to pick for that they've brought to the manager, and then again that moves on to right. Okay, you're down to so many players, and then you pick for them, and it's just, it has to be better at the start, as I say, to then get the end product of the player you bring in being better than what it has been in the last 2, 3, 4 windows. And whether that be 8 million or 800 grand, it doesn't matter a fuck to me. They just need to be a good player. They just need to be another Hatate, another CCV, albeit CCV cost 6 million, but we brought him in loan originally and seen what he could do for us, then paid that money. It's to answer the other question as well. I'm by no means happy with the status quo and the way we're performing in Europe. We're holding our own at times, and what I will say is, I think the way we're playing, you look at it now, right? Celtic teams of the past 20 years ago, even under Martin O'Neill and that, they were really strong at home, right? And they picked up wins, but they went away from home. They fucking folded. It was like 3-0 down after half an hour and all that. Most of the time.
Do you remember the Benfica games? 3-0 home, 3-0 away.
So bad, right? They're like absolutely bewildering performances, right? People forget about that because of what we've done at home. I've not seen this Celtic team this year, or you could say, obviously, Ange Postecoglou lost 5-0 Madrid, but that Madrid team, we're talking about, when I'm talking about the games we folded under the Martin O'Neill era, it was like Benfica, it was Shakhtar the next. These Celtic teams now are not going away from home and folding like that. They're still in games, and I know they did. I'm sort of contradicting myself, but they did fold at Atletico, but there was mitigating factors. Maeda gets sent off. You're again pissing into the wind. Shouldn't there be a sending off? We had injuries, all the rest of it. But I think for the most part, this Celtic team is competing in games. They're not getting absolutely blown away after half an hour. I don't think they're too far away, but I will concede that they need to do better. But I don't know. It's like they need to do better, but it's how much better can they do, right? Because for me, when they get 4 points there, right, it's a completely different time.
The one we won in Europe this season. That's a positive.
Aye. We just won, but listen.
that would be. See, if I said that, you're being negative. You're being negative.
I know, but I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I really think we should be doing better, but at the same time, I look at it and understand why we're not doing or getting as many points as we did previously. Like Wally has said that, like English football, obviously the English Premier League's been going for about 30 years now, but 10 years, first 10 years were sort of building, and then it just absolutely took off. Too much pressing in the wind. It absolutely took off, and now, and it was that period of time where we were bringing in guys like Sutton, Hartson, guys like that, Neil Lennon. We were bringing them in for English Premier League, and they were quality players at £6 million. We couldn't get we don't get that level of player anymore. So it's difficult for us to. But as Wally said, I don't even know what the fuck I'm trying to say anyway. I'm just rambling, man. Just rambling.
I like it. It's Friday.
I sort of see it for both. I see it for both sides. I see it in the sense that we should be doing better, but I understand why we aren't getting out of groups, because it's so difficult and we're so far behind financially, and we can't sign the type of player that we used to be able to sign for a lot less money. There's so many factors.
I think it's difficult as well.
There's so many factors as to why we are not getting out of groups now. It's not just because we're not spending enough money.
See if we do, by the way.
Big factor. Big factor.
The recruitment needs to be absolutely spot on every year, because we struggle to hold our squad together, because as soon as somebody starts performing, they're off to the EPL or whatever. It's like we could be sitting thinking, yes, we'll have a good go next year, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in, buys CCV, we don't replace them with it's good quality, and then we're fucking sitting talking about another disappointing European campaign because we've lost a good player and we've not. Like the recruitment is so critical every single year now, because it's hard for us to keep an established team together. Because, like I say, as soon as somebody performs, there's Jota came in, couple of years performing, and then that's him off, and we're having to replace him again. It's difficult, but I totally agree. We need to be doing better. And with regards to recruitment, if Lawwell's gone, if he is gone, he's working his notice. You're right, Stephen. Why the fuck are we not getting? We should be preparing for the summer window right now.
Exactly. Now. Exactly.
We should be preparing for that right now. So if that's the case, we need to work fast, because otherwise it's going to be a same scenario as this summer, where Brendan's came in, we've not really got as much time, and he's just kind of had players thrown at him, and he said die basically, and they've not been the required quality that he's been looking for this season. So if that is the case, and who's to say Celtic aren't working on that, to be fair, there could be news coming out over the next month or so, but this needs to, like, the work needs to start now. By the way, they just need somebody that plays Football Manager. That's what Brighton are doing. Every time I play Football Manager, they say there's this wonder kid.
Brighton sign him.
Never heard of that Hendrick 2 years ago. Put on Football Manager, all I hear is everybody talking about this young 16-year-old Hendrick, and then fucking 6 months later he's signing for Real Madrid for like 70 million and he's only 16. Just play Football Manager, and whoever's fucking brilliant in that, just sign them. I
think the platform of Football Manager is actually done by the people who make that Y scouting and all that database.
Well, even Sky Sports News are using their players' attributes on it and all. This is Football Manager. We're going to compare fucking this player with that player. Oh, he's better because he's shooting 20 and his is only 18. They're actually doing it in Sky Sports News now.
That's unbelievable. It's a brilliant game. You have to admit, it's a good game. You get lost for hours in that.
I've never played it.
Look at how good that bike.
Who was the comedian? Who was the comedian? It was your man. Fuck. What's it? Willie, help me out here.
What?
Help me out. The comedian. What's his name?
The comedian. How can I help you? There's hundreds of comedians.
There was a joke. He said he was doing Football Manager, and he went to like a city meet and greet thing.
Oh, it's Frankie Boyle.
No, it wasn't Frankie Boyle. Was it Frankie Boyle?
He said
you talk about
doing the Celtic safe. You got hundreds of money in the bank, but you can only get loans and that in or something like that.
No. There was a comedian that said a joke about he was English and he managed Man City, and he went to like a city meet and greet thing, and he seen Micah Richards and he shook his hand, but his subconscious told him to be a bit of a dick to him, and he just went hello and moved on.
Aye.
And he said he went back. He said he went back, right? And he looked on his football manager. He turned up late for training twice. He was raging on him.
Was it that Lee something?
Is it Lee Evans? No, it wasn't Lee Evans.
No, it's not Lee Evans. No,
Lee
but
Mack. Lee Mack. Lee
No, I
Mack.
don't think it was.
No.
Fuck, don't know.
Someone anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sure
But
it was a guy.
funny.
He used to do a sketch show or something as well. That's
I don't know if there's a website
It really is.
for
Get yourself a nitro
pouring
search,
pints in
man.
that.
Right.
Guinness is stinking. It is absolutely disgusting, by the way.
It's actually an obsession with me now, man. I just got my nitro surge, but I've not used it yet. Got to use it tomorrow night for the first time.
Who was that comedian? This is going to fucking boggle my mind.
Is it Saturday now?
We're having fun, right? Relax yourself. I'm gonna.
Lee Evans.
Is that a tiny little dog? Shite. Is that a tiny? By the way, that is not. It's Moosehead. All right. I don't know what you're talking about there. Absolute lies.
What the hell's Moosehead?
It's Canadian. Amalzer Johnson. Who said that?
You just did.
I didn't say it.
No, Ross
Dion said it, not me. And Ross, you said it. What the fuck?
Dion said that. You can't say that. That's derogatory.
No one said it apart from you.
To be fair, Steve,
I was in the comment.
What is it, Roy?
Moving on. Stevie, you've said it before in this podcast.
I've said a lot of things in this podcast. I'm surprised Famba took off, but sure, it's good cry.
But sure.
Right,
About recruitment, right?
Right.
Listen, we're a scripted show. Read your lines. You know what the next topic is. Come on. Ross.
I don't look at it.
I know you don't. You made that clear. But this morning I woke up to a lovely message in the group chat about Shay Adams becoming a free agent or whatever. And just pretty straightforward. Would you take him to Celtic, Ross? And your reasoning why?
I would not take him at Celtic. Listen, I think Shay Adams is a good player. He's 27-year-old, I'm sure. Scripted. He's a good player. He's 27-year-old. He's got international experience. He's got numerous amounts of years' experience at the top level of English football. Albeit he's playing in the Championship just now, I think. I might be wrong. I think he is.
Right. Aye. He's got to fire us to Euros, glory.
Aye, listen. People going about that sort of age demographic, if you like, a bit older than what we've been bringing in, which is like 21, 22. So he fits that bill. Is he Champions League ready? I don't know because he's never played in the Champions League, but he's certainly got loads of international experience. I think he's got a lot of credentials that fit the so-called level of player that we need and want. He's not a prolific goal scorer by any stretch, but he can hold the ball up well. He can bring players. He can link up the play. I think he's a decent player. I think he would be a good signing for Celtic, especially if you could get him on a free. If we were talking about signing him for, I don't know, 6-7 million, what are we laughing at here?
Listen, usually I think Monty's jokes are pish, but that was a topper.
I take Jerry Adams, his past experience of the English league.
Fuck's sake. Listen, see most guys that say they wouldn't take Shay Adams, I would say they probably haven't watched a lot of Scotland. I think he's a good player. I think I'm not saying he would come in and be the number one striker, but if going forward Rodgers decides that he wants to play a sort of main striker and Kyogo in the 10, which is in its infancy now, but looked decent at times on Sunday. Ida's only in the now on loan. They're not exactly the same type of player, of course, but you have to say that I would say that Adams is a better player than Ida. He's not as big, but he can certainly use his body quite well. This is only rumours, by the way. I don't think for a second that it's going to come to fruition. But to answer the question simply, if it did, I'd be quite happy for Shea Adams to come to Celtic. And he would probably be our main striker, if you like. But as much as you say it's the main striker, I don't think he's the main goal getter, because that would be shared throughout the team, and Kyogo would be still the main man, albeit he's playing a wee bit of a deeper role. But I would take him in short.
Going by what I've seen of him in a Scotland shirt, and I'll be quite frank with you, Willie, and Ross. I think he's been shite. I don't see what he's actually.
Quality.
He's not quality. There's no. He's not. Let's get that argument straight. Shea Adams is not quality.
Nobody is good enough for my Celtic, and repeat.
Strange Love the Doctor and Didi is another rumour. But right, let's look at it. Right, he's played in the Premier League. He has, and Willie's totally dismissing what I'm going to say. That's fair.
Well, that's funny. You've not even asked me yet, but
right. But he's playing the Premier League. He's playing in the Championship at the minute. Does he have experience at the top level? Of course he does. His goal return isn't that great. I think he's got like 6 goals for Scotland. Whether you know better than me. And I was again just going by lineups. I thought Lyndon Dykes always got in ahead of him. I don't know if that's true. Again, I'm probably wrong, but I don't see anything that excites me about that if it comes to fruition. And then, would you rather have him in the squad than Ida? Would you take him over an Adamida? If we decide to keep him permanently, then we'll have 4 strikers. So there's a conundrum there. But again, like Ross said, he detailed it quite well, to be fair. And I've lost track of what I'm going to say. But would you take Shea Adams?
You are changing positions today. You lost track of what you're saying. Let's go on. What am I going to say here, Stephen?
I don't know. What's in your script?
I don't know. Hold on. I think, like, personally in the summer, if we were looking to get him, I personally don't think he improves our first 11, and I think that if we're going into a transfer window, like, and that's not always necessarily the case, but if we were going in the summer, I'd be looking for us to be aiming higher than Adams. If it was in January window there, I would have taken him.
Who's aiming higher? Who's aiming higher?
Aiming higher lives in the road for Stephen. Big aiming higher. Drives the van. Removal van.
Oh shit! I'm gone. I'm fucking gone.
I would be. I think if like he was the one striker we brought in the summer, I'd be very disappointed. I think we should be looking to get better than that. I'm not saying he's a bad player, and I think he probably would do a job at Celtic. And like I say, timing's everything. If it was a January window there we got him in, I'd probably be pretty ecstatic right now. But I think this summer we're going to be looking at a total. I honestly think there's going to be a massive turnover in the squad. And I think if he was the one striker you brought in, I'd be pretty disappointed, to be honest with you. And like I go to all the games at Hampden for Scotland and watch every game, and I do think he's a top player. I agree he's not the best goal scorer, but his all round play is brilliant for Scotland. But I'd be looking. I think we should be looking to improve. Paul's in with the puns as usual. I would want to look to improve the first 11, or have somebody that's going to compete with Kyogo for that shirt, and for me, I don't see him being that man. I don't think it would be a bad signing in saying that, but I would just be expecting us to do more. But again, like Ross said, it's all bullshit anyway. It's just somebody on Twitter said he's on a free, and then everybody's fucking wet their frillies. It's not happening. Oh, he's on mute again.
He's on mute again. What's he like?
Is he on a free right now?
At the end of the year, apparently, I think. I don't know.
No.
I don't have a clue what's going on.
What did I
But
say?
I have no idea. We're apparently getting this cancelled. I have no idea. But sure.
What did I say?
Oh, it was Ross actually said it. The woof rhymes with woof. There you go.
Aye, but he all started that. I just repeated. I just called her out for it.
What do you say, Roof?
Keemar Roof. Is it Keemar
Aye.
Roof? Aye.
Aye, Kilmarnock.
Keemar Roof.
Aiming higher
Call
than
me.
Keemar Roof.
Keep Stephen on mute. Let me see this. That's not. Why is that not coming up for me? Is that coming up for you? I can't even get that up. That
You
sounds
did
so
hear
bad.
it.
Bad.
What's ironic is
Thanks.
it sounded like he was shouting that.
Right. Jay Adams, no. Ross would, but me and Willie wouldn't. You're outvoted. Fuck you.
And you were
I was
like,
going to.
oh, he's going to dismiss everything I say. I totally fucking agreed with you.
Thanks very much, mate. I actually appreciate that. It feels good knowing that you've done that right now.
But by the way, can I just say the way Wally
No.
outlined it in terms of if we are going to have a squad overhaul, I'm not saying that I would accept him as our main striker, but if you're talking the way the squad is, and Ida knowing that Ida will probably go, then I would take him.
Ida?
Anyway,
No, I does not playing.
Ida, whatever. For sure.
He's not got an option to buy. He's away back to Norwich at the end of the year.
aye.
Right, okay. Right. So, I was going to move on to the Kilmarnock game, but I wanted to just take a wee brief moment to pause here because I'm having good crack. And look, it's actually, today's been mental and et cetera, but I've had a great time tonight, having a good laugh with Ross and Willie here. And we're a wee bit, I don't know, tipsy, and I'm enjoying it. But we're going to do the quiz. I'm enjoying myself. We're going to do the quiz now.
Myself.
So we are, right? So again, it's the first of 5. Shout it out if you know the answer. So we're doing a wee swap here.
Testing.
So
We're doing the quiz, then, eh? Oh my god.
we're doing the quiz right now. It's called keeping you on your toes, mate. I'm the recruitment team. We keep going. We have to keep going. Question 1. What is the full form of FIFA?
What the fuck does that mean?
So what does it stand for?
Football International Federation Association.
Oh, that's it.
No. Willie?
I don't know. Fucked if
Right.
Frank.
International Federation of Association Football.
That's what
Question
you just said,
two.
just in the rank.
That's what I said.
That's not what
I can't
FIFA
give
says.
him.
Say
I
that
can't
again.
give him it. I can't
that
give him
again.
it.
What
Say
did
that
I say?
again.
International Federation
Aye.
of Association. Maestro's got it. Monty's got it.
That's what he said.
That's what I said.
No,
You said
you're not getting it.
international.
Definitely didn't say that.
You said IFA.
Quit. No. What?
You said
IFA?
IFA.
You said international. It's FIFA. International can't be before F.
It is before F, according to the official quiz that I'm looking at. So I have to take it as that. So
Right, okay.
you didn't get that. Question 2. He was the best football player in Europe in 1998.
Zinedine Zidane.
Zidane.
1-0 Willie. Question.
It was. You did get in there for me, like. Did you? aye?
Question 3. When was the first Premier League played?
92.
1992.
Willie, 2-0.
Oh, come on. I said 19 and he just jumped on the 92. Come on.
Aye, but the last one I said Zinedine Zidane and you said Zidane, you fucking sausage bagger.
And you still beat me. I gave you it because you said Zinedine.
Right, hold on.
Nah, fuck this.
Right.
I'm away.
Ross got a FIFA to be fair to.
Question 3.
God, he's not rearranged his room to get paper out.
Question 3. It's question 3, isn't it? Yeah, right.
Question 4.
Oh,
Question 4. There we go. This player scored the fastest hat-trick in the Premier League.
Sadio Mane.
Wow. 3-0. Rinse Ross, you're nowhere to be seen, Chief.
Yeah,
What's
but
going on?
that's actually 2-1 to me, but we'll move on.
3-1. He didn't get IFA.
Fuck off, I didn't say anything. Right? And this is what the quiz said, not me. Right? This is what the quiz said. But we'll move on to the weekend's game, Willie. Celtic against Kilmarnock, 3 p.m. kickoff. I think we've been beat twice this season by them. Is it twice?
Yeah.
In the Cup and the
Aye,
League?
In the league, aye.
Which is mental to even think about that. But to be fair, they've got a quite physical team. Derek McInnes, even though we all hate him, sets them up well against themselves every time we play them, funny enough. But where do you see this game won and lost? And also what Roger was saying today about Alistair Johnson still being out. Greg Taylor's back, which is a plus. So what's your feeling then of the game tomorrow?
Did he say Taylor's fit to play?
He said he's been training all week, yeah.
Oh, yeah, fucking
He's
beauty.
ready,
Oh, it's fucking 5-0 then.
aye.
No, I think we're still not obviously there yet. But the St Mirren performance was far better than the previous two. So, it's a silent. Which one? The first or the second? I'm fairly confident. I think I actually said last week that I would play Kyle going to 10, and that's exactly where he played. And I got fucking lambasted for it last week, and I thought he had a good performance. I don't expect many changes, and I think we're going to get a fairly decent win again, to be honest with you. I hope we do, because obviously you've just said it there. We've had two poor performances and results against them, so I think we need to put that right. And I think that's. I don't think Brendan needs a sort of speech before the game. It's look, we've not performed against them twice today. You better go out and do the business. Done. 4-0.
It's line-up prediction.
I'd love to see Greg Taylor back in, but I can't see him slotting straight back in. I think it'll be the exact same team as last week. 4-0.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Ross?
I think it'll be a difficult game. I think Kilmarnock, Derek McInnes sets his team up well, and he's certainly set his team up well against Celtic. But we'll have to perform better than we have been in recent weeks. But we're at home, back in front of our own fans. I think it's been 6 years now for we last played at Parkhead. So.
At least we're playing for them for a change.
Aye, I know exactly. Listen, that is what I was going to come on to next. Is we've got an opportunity. We've said it in previous seasons when it's been close-ish, never as close as this, but we've got an opportunity, a rare opportunity, to go and put a marker down, whether that be 3 points or whatever. 3 points, firstly. If we can get a big win, even better. But ask the question of them and see what they're made of, because they've done the chasing, they've caught us up. Now, can they maintain that when it's a pressurised race to the league title? But for me, I fancy us for the win. I think in that predictor, I said 2-1.
Yep.
So I'll stand by that prediction.
Yeah, I forgot about
that. I know. in terms of the lineup, I think Greg Taylor will be back in, because I don't think Brendan Rodgers fancies Bernabei, and if Greg Taylor's been training all week, I think he'll just put him right back into the team. So I'll go with Joe Hart, Ralston, probably be Welsh and Scales, obviously Taylor, McGregor,
O'Reilly.
McGregor, O'Reilly, Palmer.
The game's actually finished.
I know, McGregor, O'Reilly, Palmer.
Right, post match.
I know. Who was the McGregor, O'Reilly, Palmer, Maeda, Kyogo, and Ida. I was just trying because I knew there was a change of formation, so it was confusing my head there. But I
have to say, lads, I've really enjoyed tonight. I'm just going to finish on a wee would you rather, just a wee bit of crack here. Again, I found this on the interweb, the internet. So it's a wee bit of thing skew with. No, it's not filth. What are you? This is a family show. No cursing. No cursing. No nothing. Right? So first, would you rather? I'll come to yourself, Willie. Would you rather play in midfield alongside Roy Keane or play in midfield alongside Patrick Vieira?
Keno. He was my hero when I was a boy, so I never rated Patrick Vieira, but I think it's because I don't know. I just didn't like him. He was obviously a fantastic footballer, but I thought he was a prick. so
who was the better footballer though, him or King?
Jesus, Keane. Keane for me.
I always remember that tunnel video that you see kind of coming up on Twitter now and again, them fighting with each other in the tunnel. Strange Dub agrees.
I would just love Keno to fucking.
Vieira was technically better.
I would love for Keno just to give me grief for no tracking back and then go, "It's your job."
Franny's went Vieira, but he has a slight soft spot for Arsenal, so we can understand that one. And Ross, yourself here. Let me see.
It's yourself.
Would you rather score the winner in a Europa League final or make an appearance in a Champions League final?
Are you not winning the Champions League? Do you not know the result yet?
You're not. Well, it doesn't say you're winning it. It just says make an appearance.
So you could still
make an appearance in the Champions League final.
Fair enough. And then yourself, Willie, would you rather be a deep line playmaker like Pirlo or Cruz, or playing the 10 like Ozil or Silva?
The 10 like Kyogo.
Oh, fuck that noise. And see, by the way,
you're going to dine out in that forever, eh?
see, by the way, James, Willie did advocate for the 10, right? James did not. He did not. He told me off, like in the studio thing, right? That he had no idea what was going on because he was taxing somebody at the time, and he just agreed for the sake of agreeing. And then he realized it was cool going to 10, and he told me no, that he wouldn't have him in the 10. So I'm not taking the bullshit, and he's claiming that alongside Willie. Willie claimed that it's his, and I'll take that all day.
I can't believe you stuck James in now, by the way. That's fucking out of order. We're a team, man.
He's running about there trying to say
slander.
mental. And then finally for you, Ross, just another quick one here. Would you rather play under Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola?
Pep Guardiola.
Any reasoning? Does Pep?
Because I was the Messi of the 90s and he would get the best out of me.
But look, that brings us to the end of the podcast. Have you enjoyed it, lads?
Superb, man.
Superb. It's good to be back. We've as you said at the start, the 3 years haven't been on for a long while, and it always gets a bit fucking daft. To the point where I was actually talking total shite at one point and realised and just thought, just shut up, man.
Cheers, everyone who's watched along. I've had a great time. We've had a great laugh. We've had a couple of drinks. And until Monday, when we're back, hopefully discussing a good win against Kilmarnock, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.